What's good, y'all? It is Tony the Savant back again. Hope everybody's having a good to great day, man. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're pulling up to the video. All right, man, we got to get right into this bag. As you all know, if you've been rocking with me for any amount of time, there's one particular sports franchise, one particular sports team, uh, a couple of athletes, characters um, that really can get me going, if you will. And it's none other than my very own Chicago Bulls. I am very passionate about my Chicago Bulls, past, present, and I'm very well invested in their future. And I actually got the news a couple of days ago. But I'm going to be honest, y'all. I'm going to be 100% honest. I was like, nah, nah, this can't be true. Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, Luke Longley have come together and put together a tour, okay? And this is why I said, nah, this can't be true. Because if these three came together and when they were just talking about the glory days, the championship days, then I'd be like, all right, okay, I understand that. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense. But these three have come together, all right? And the sole purpose of this collaboration, and now these are three men we're talking about, but I think there's a stronger point that needs to be made too. I'm gonna get into that. But these are three men we're talking about going on a tour to bash Michael Jeffrey Jordan and the Last Dance documentary. That, excuse me, y'all. Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant participated in. All right, there's no way you can tell me or convince me that Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant were forced to do a documentary that they did not agree with. Okay? Because before that documentary, we heard no hoopla. It wasn't until after the documentary that we heard Scottie Pippen announce that he was, quote unquote, upset about how he was represented in the documentary. But we all seen Scottie Pippen had a nice, healthy role in the Last Dance documentary. He didn't just have like a clip. He didn't just have, you know what I mean? He was in several episodes. And as far as I know, the Last Dance documentary, for me personally, someone that grew up in the south side of Chicago and watching the Chicago Bulls play, it wasn't any new news in the Last Dance documentary for me. Perhaps for the younger generation that didn't get to, see Michael Jordan play, yeah, there may have been some tidbits in there that you weren't aware of, but I would say 98% of that information that we got in the Last Dance documentary has either been reported on already or is available and accessible information on the internet, library, wherever you know what I mean? If you're searching out information about the Chicago Bulls, everything in that documentary would be available to you. You would never have to watch the Last Dance documentary to garnish an opinion on the Chicago Bulls, the Michael Jordan-led Chicago Bulls, excuse me. And it just baffles my mind, why these three would come together just to solely bash Michael Jordan. Now, this isn't a Michael Jordan defense video, although I do have a certain special respect for Michael Jordan. And if you, like I said, you've been rocking with me for any amount of time, you would know why. And I don't want to get too far into that. But yes, I have a respect for Michael Jordan. My highest respect for Michael Jordan now is solely due to his ability to stay out of the limelight. We don't often get Michael Jordan interviews or Michael Jordan sound bites. And when we do, he ain't talking about Scottie Pippen or knocking Horace Grant or downplaying Luke Longley at any point. In fact, the last time I mean, me personally, the last time I heard Michael Jordan talk about Luke Longley, it was during Luke Longley's uh, like sideshow documentary talking about his side of the Last Dance, which wasn't much. It wasn't much substance. I seen it. It was just a bunch of, I don't know. It was kind of weird. You know what I mean? Just a bunch of talking about events and about the team, not really based about Luke Longley. I mean, it gave a little backstory, but you know, forgive me, Luke Longley. Even back then, wasn't nothing that to jump off the page for. Everybody watched the Bulls for Michael Jordan. Luke Longley very rarely or seldomly even contributed to a victory. You know, and excuse me, I wanted to mention that compliment Michael Jordan gave. I know that y'all heard it. If you haven't heard it, but Michael Jordan was on Luke Longley's documentary that dropped after The Last Dance. This is just funny money to me, okay? Luke Longley was upset that he was not in the documentary, the Last Dance documentary, right? Because he was in Australia getting high. Luke Longley is one of those dudes that's a super stoner now, and whatever, he's living that life. That's on him. But this is the reason why he wasn't in the documentary. So Michael Jordan was cool enough to go over to Australia and be a part of his documentary, Luke Longley's, I mean. And this dude, Luke Longley, is upset. He's upset of how he was represented in the Last Dance, and he's also upset about what else? He said something else. Y'all gotta forgive me, man. Luke Longley is the least of these three that I'm concerned about. I mean, he was a journeyman before he got to the Bulls, journeyman after he got to the Bulls, and I don't think anybody's searched or looked up for Luke Longley, ever in life. Not even when he was playing. I know when he went to the Knicks, he stunk it up. I know why he was playing with the Bulls. Now, I got I got real memories, of Bill Winnington outplaying Luke Longley on many a night. You know what I mean? So, I'm just giving y'all a little backdrop of how I feel about Luke Longley. But Michael Jordan was cool enough to go do his documentary and mention the compliment that he gave Luke Longley. All right. Luke Longley had 12 points in the first half, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, something like that. And Jordan said he gave Luke Longley a compliment at halftime because that was his stat line at halftime. And at the end of the game, Luke Longley's stat line was 12 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. And Michael Jordan said he would never compliment him again because you clearly took that compliment and that was good enough for you, Luke Longley. You know what I mean? So it's just fascinating that this guy wants to do a documentary bashing Michael Jordan. Let's move on to Horace Grant. Horace Grant, all right, mentally weak. I'm sorry, y'all. I am not trying to knock Horace. Big fan. Loved him in Orlando. And I loved him in Chicago. But, Horace Grant was one of those dudes that had to be coached up. You know what I mean? He had to be pep talked to. He had to be riled up just to do a job that he's supposed to, you know what I mean? He's supposed to be playing a game that you quote unquote love to play. But every time, a little adversity come your way, they had to pep talk him up, As far as I know, Horace Grant was the snitch, the dude that was giving locker room information to Sam Smith. And now he went on to the documentary. Now this is fascinating that he went on the Last Dance documentary and had the safe space to, I hate to even say that, but he had the safe space to defend himself. Listen, if Michael Jordan was on any type of time with y'all fools, I don't think he would have gave Horace Grant the opportunity to defend himself on the Last Dance documentary. Now, it wasn't all Michael Jordan's doing, this Last Dance documentary. It wasn't a Michael Jordan produced documentary, as the Chicago Bulls organization was a part of it, the NBA organization was a part of it, several others, and then Michael Jordan was just like an executive producer, of course, because he's the central figure. But anyway, Horace Grant was one of these characters that Jordan had to coach up. You know what I mean? Just like, look, dude, you a power forward. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to play the game. Woo, woo, woo. And many a times Jordan had to do that with Horace Grant. And it was even a telltale sign. Horace Grant wanted a quote unquote bigger role. Wasn't contributing any more or less, but he wanted a bigger role. And wanted more money, and the Bulls thought that was ridiculous. I mean, it still sounds ridiculous to this day. And that's how he ended up in Orlando. Um, but yeah, this guy, you know what I mean? But Jordan had to come rescue you from being bullied by the Knicks and the Pistons several times. It's just fascinating to me. And then, of course, Grant got his glory moment when they beat the Bulls. But then the very next year, when he beat the Bulls as an Orlando Magic, as a member of the Orlando Magic, after Jordan came back from his retirement. But soon thereafter, you getting swept. Got swept out of the playoffs by the Michael Jordan. I don't get it, man. Excuse me. What are you bitter about, Mr. Grant? And then it gets down to the last one. The guy that, honestly, man, Scottie Pippen for the longest was my Batman. Michael Jordan, the Superman. Scottie Pippen, the equivalent to my Batman. The quieter member, still strong, still a force. And I always respected Scottie Pippen on a high level. I've always hated when people would be like, oh, when they reference the second best player or the Robin, quote unquote, of a tandem, how they always associated Scottie Pippen's name to that. As a Chicago Bull, I am a Bull. As a Chicago Bull and a Chicago Bulls fan, you know what I mean? I witnessed the heroics of Scottie Pippen on several nights. You had people that was in the upper brass and the coaching staff of the Chicago Bulls that understood what Scottie Pippen brought to the table. Michael Jordan himself understood what Scottie Pippen brought to the table. Jordan never treated Scottie Pippen like he was a second fiddle. You know what I mean? On several occasions, Michael Jordan would deflect, the praise when the media would be trying to, oh, Jordan, you did this, that, and the third. He would deflect the praise to Scottie Pippen. When Scottie Pippen was running around Chicago, the city of Chicago, talking to whoever would listen to him about how he was underpaid, Michael Jordan advocated for him to get his money. I do not understand these emotions from these men. You get it? Like, I don't get it. And this is another travesty of this situation. Is that these ain't young men, all right? You know what I mean? Like we talk about a lot of the societal stuff that goes on nowadays about how men don't want to be men and all that stuff. And when we talk about that, you would think we're talking about guys 30, 35, 40 and under. You know what I'm saying? The modern day men in their primes. You would think we're talking about those men. Nah. I'm sorry. We're talking about these old heads, G. Like, I'm sorry. Scottie Pippen is damn near 60 years old. All these dudes are damn near 60 years old. And y'all telling me you organized, you sat down, you put time to the side, you organized a tour, a multiple city tour, so you can run around here and talk about another man? Now, we even got to get into the logistics of how Michael Jordan was the reason why these fools was eating. We would have never, I'm of the opinion, I'm of the opinion that we would never have heard of Scottie Pippen, Luke Longley, or Horace Grant. We're talking about 30, 40 years after these fools have played. We would have, about 20, 30 years after these dudes have dribbled a basketball on a professional level. We're talking about these three names 30 years after they played basketball, but they were never MVPs. They were never, we ain't got too many heroic moments. I mean, Scottie Pippen got his highlights. But we ain't got no memories of Luke Longley hitting a pressure game winner against a juggernaut team. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have any memories of this. We don't have no memories of Horace Grant just taking over a playoff series or a playoff game. Ain't no memories of that. Scottie Pippen again had his moments, but we have more memories of Scottie Pippen coming up short and acting like a, excuse my language, spineless, you know what I mean? Like just LeBron James 1.0. That's what Scottie Pippen is now to me. He's earned himself the title LeBron James 1.0 because how Scottie Pippen is moving now, it really shows a lot, about his personality and what he really was about even back then. He running around here being so busy and so jealous of Jordan. Like, bro, you never acknowledged your own talent, your own contributions to the team. You've been so envious of Jordan and letting everybody else get in your head that you didn't sit down and enjoy your own roses. Plenty of people that love Scottie Pippen. I'm one of them. Plenty of people that were fans of Scottie Pippen. I'm one of them. It's plenty of people that go against that narrative of Scottie Pippen being some kind of second fiddle or some kind of Robin to Jordan. He was, of course, he wasn't as dominant as Jordan. He wasn't as talented as Jordan, but we not getting them as a Chicago Bulls fan. I can confess that we would not have 6 championships without Scottie Pippen. I'm going to say that on record. You got me. You know what I mean? Jordan has said it. So it's not like I'm breaking news here. Everybody that is a true Chicago Bulls fan, and if you was a Chicago Bulls fan in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, you will say the same thing. Ain't no championships in the city of Chicago without Scottie Pippen. So why can't this man enjoy the fruits of his labor? All Scottie Pippen has been doing for the last 5-10 years, because immediately after he retired, he was still talking like he had some sense. That's the crazy part. Scottie wasn't always jumping off the bridge like this and just so mad. But anyway, I don't want this video to go too long. It's already kind of going beyond my preferable limit. But anyway, man, y'all know I get passionate about my Chicago Bulls. Can't believe these 3, man. Very disgusting. And at this point, I got to start reevaluating how I observe Scottie Pippen. Again, I grew up. He was one of my heroes. I never watched Batman or Superman. I never had comics. The most I had was the Power Rangers and the Ninja Turtles, and Dragon Ball Z. That's when I started watching quote-unquote cartoons. It was stuff like that. But I never watched Superman, Batman, because I had the Chicago Bulls. I didn't need comics. You know what I'm saying? So it's heartbreaking for me. You know what I mean? If you grew up looking up to certain individuals your entire life and setting the standards and that you live by based on what they displayed during, the prime of their professions, to see Scottie Pippen come down, to see Scottie Pippen where he is now, just makes me feel like, how far have you fallen? You know what I mean? Just makes me think, man. And we ain't even talking about the Larsa situation. That's even crazier. But anyway, that's all I got for y'all on this one. It is your boy, Tony the Savant. Thank y'all, man, for pulling up, and hope you enjoyed the content. You know my slogan, y'all the bosses. I'm the guy that loves to work. I'm about to get back to work. Peace.